So, yeah, very Blade Runner-esque. We got going. So this is a terrapin, which again isn't in 3.0, but is going to be just after 3.0. Although I think we should probably, Glenn, shouldn't really. Let's start the small amount, right? The new Aurora, perhaps.
Welcome to Robert Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check. Engines are on.
All right, let's take off. Let's go flying. Not sure we're going to let you actually get this close to the populated areas, but we'll let you guys do it.
Landing gear free.
So, what you're seeing here is Arccorp, which is essentially a full-size, Earth-sized planet, completely covered with man-made structures, and at a real scale. So you're seeing everything to the horizon, fully covered. You can basically fly all over Arccorp. So you can see up in the distance another city club. So that up in the distance is area 17, and we're flying over the suburbs now. So this is pretty much Coruscant. And this is our engine wizards in the Frankfurt office. Who's doing this? So Marco Cubetta and Alex Ramotti, who will be out here in a bit. And actually area 17 over there is about 25 kilometers in the distance. So we're just gonna head over to it.
Landing gear deployed.
2947!
There's that tradition. Hello, Citizen God 2947.
Landing gear raised.
longer term that we're going to be building on our bigger, more populated planets, multiple landing zones. So Area 18 is one of them. Area 17 would be potentially another one. And we'd have quite a few around Arccorp because it's such a big planet and the detail and the scale that we're going for. We sort of feel like it has to be more than just one landing zone or two landing zones and then nothing else on the rest of the planet. So it has to feel believable at the scale of our universe. And that's always quite a challenge, but some of the technology that we've been building is allowing us to do that, as you can sort of see from the visuals that we're flying around here, where we literally have a planet covered by a city. So Arccorp is one of our planets. Let's kind of head up to space, I think, here in a bit, Bled. We can have a little view of Area 17 as we go beside it, though. I don't think any other game's quite got this level of scale. And that little the red cluster you see up there is actually the pyro system. So when we leave Stanton, that will be one of our destinations. As you sort of see. Yeah. Well, don't worry, we're working hard on it for you guys. One of the space stations in orbit around Arccorp. So I think I've mentioned before that most of the big kind of more advanced or settled or industrialized planets will have quite a few space stations in geosynchronous orbit, so that when say someone with a large ship like a Hull C or a D brings in cargo, we go to the space station and then the cargo can be offloaded and brought down to the planet. So we're just going to head to one of them. It's built using a new modular space station setup, and it's actually beyond 3.0. You're going to see a lot of space stations and variety, and we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to put them together and build them up around the Stanton system and the other systems as we expand out. And the key is it's all, we're not low. There's no loading screens or anything. We just flew up from the city. We were down in Area 18, then we were flying around these huge skyscrapers, and now we're just heading up to the orbital space station. Glenn's just showing off. And again, this would be, like I said, one of the places where cargo would come in, it would be unloaded, and then there would be NPCs or a player could potentially take smaller amounts down. But to give you an idea of this is, the beauty of the sort of Star Citizen 64-bit precision is like we fully, it's all there. We're up here on a space station looking down on the planet. Jump? I don't know, Glenn. Should we jump or not jump? Nah, I don't think so, right? All right, let's get back on the platform. Well, no, his EVA counters the gravity. Plus, gravity is much weaker up here than it is down on the planet. But the gravity is actually properly simulated all the way through, based on your distance from the center of the planet. You want to get up? All right. So inside these are all got interiors, and in fact, we'll show you kind of how we build them in a second. But yeah, just give you the idea of the scale, because this space station didn't look that big from a while ago, and of course, see how big it is now that we're up close. And if we go through here, there'll be an elevator we get through on the other side that would get us into the atrium. So we'll show you a bit of that in a little bit. Let's kind of continue on with our journey. Should we head to Hurston, Glenn, or just want to do some sightseeing? There we go. Arccorp. No, that doesn't look very big. That's because we're sort of zoomed out on the star map. But Lorville is 23,205,500, whatever that is, 968, 66 now, 68 kilometers away, which is quite a long distance. So should we start our quantum? So as you can see, we've upgraded the whole sort of jump effects and everything using the new GPU particle system that's coming in with 3.0. Yet another thing that we've added, which you can see with the contrails and the engine trails. Now, 23 million kilometers, even at 0.2 of the speed of light, takes about 8 minutes. Now, and actually in the gameplay side of things, it probably would actually take you longer for the journey because you'll probably get pulled out of quantum by some other ships, and there'll be we won't probably let you go one jump directly to the other jump because there needs to be some time invested in getting there, like taking cargo or whatever else. But just a pure unaltered, uninterrupted jump's about 8 minutes at our quantum speed. So while we're doing that, we're going to take a little bit of time to reflect back on the tech that you saw on display. So Sean, you want to come to the stage, and Alex Ramotti, who's one of the key people at Procedural Tech. And I'll hand it over to them to sort of talk about how we built some of the stuff you just saw.
All right, hi there everyone. So for those that don't know me, my name's Sean Tracy. I'm the Tech Director of Content here at Cloud Imperium Games. And up here on stage with me is one of the bright minds behind some of the content that you saw there in Area 18 and Arccorp, and behind some of the tools, and his name's Alex Ramotti. He's our lead technical artist at Cloud Imperium Games. So, figured while we're on our way to Hurston that we'd kind of show you a little bit about the tools and basically how we're going to go about filling, hundreds of systems with just as many planets with, meaningful content and things to do for you guys. And the way we're going to do that is through super powerful tools, really talented art teams, really powerful and hyper intelligent engineers. So we're going to have to go picture in picture here for a minute. All right. So go ahead, run the tools. All right, so the first one I want to talk a little bit about is our procedural city generator. So here, it's a top-down sort of tool that we've built for the artists and the designers, and what they basically do, they draw the perimeters of all their districts. Now, I realize it looks a little bit about like Minesweeper or even like a SimCity kind of look, but actually that's a really nice interface to this kind of thing. So you see what he's actually done here is all the T's are little transportation districts, and all the little yellow H's are actually an elevated area. So these are different districts with different properties within them. And it's important that all those districts connect to each other because, of course, if we've got NPCs living there, that's going to be an important point. Then we hit fill the city layout. And this is when all the models and everything starts to get propagated. But I should mention, it's not just models, it's particle effects, it's NPCs, it's shops, it's signs, it's all kinds of different content that really make the game for you. The other important part of it is being able to set, the actual districts. So it's things like commercial, residential, industrial, and you might have heard of these before. And he sets different heights. These ones are suburban areas, or suburb areas. And this is where, the NPCs will live. It'll be different habitation sort of areas. And then we hit Save City Layout, and we've got our city. So it's a really exciting tool set, and again, this comes from lots of artwork and really, really, really intelligent engineers. So you can see that in the distance is our elevated area. We've got a sort of industrial area that's been built up. You've got the signs, you've got the shops, and you could even see before when it was a little higher up that there's transportation between all of these districts, so you can still move around between, and that could be monorails, that could be roads, that could be whatever the artists actually come up with. Or design, rather. They come up with it. So as he flies around, you can see that this was more the commercial kind of area. This is where you'd find some of your shops, things like Dumpers Depot. And then over here was that sort of suburb area that he actually built up. So again, it's a really powerful tool set, but it's really only one piece of the puzzle. So the next piece of that puzzle is building up the interiors to this. So keeping that same concept in mind, we load up a different tool set. And this one is called, we call it our layout editor. So this is our interior layout editor, and it can be used for all kinds of things. So here's our Data Forge editor. You might have seen this on ATV before. And this is where we set up all our, real meaningful data. So these are different libraries that are used. But for the artists and designers, what they actually use is a flow graph system. And each of those boxes or nodes are actually rooms. And each of the connections are hallways or doors or elevators and things like this. And you can see that all the rooms are connected in a certain way and in a meaningful gameplay way. So those are elevator shafts. We might have a mission giver room. We might have a treasure room. We might have a pickup room. We might have a secret room. There's all sorts of different properties that go within them. Once we've got that flow graph, we go to our editor, we load that flow graph, then we give it a deterministic seed, and click OK, and the tools go ahead and build that environment for us. So now, an artist or a designer could absolutely build this. There's no reason why they couldn't. But there's a lot to do here. So you've got to connect walls, you've got to put lights in, you've got to place NPCs. Even some kind of technical things. We've got to place atmosphere areas. We have our room system. We have a power system. And one of the problems with that is that, it's a little prone to error. So like, oh, if I forgot my link, I didn't name it right, or whatever. Or I used an art kit that the art team wasn't quite ready for, things like this. So it kind of mitigates that problem. But you can see there's very meaningful content. And we've got a level of like Port Olisar already generated within a couple minutes. And again, design or an artist could absolutely do this. But again, we've got to fill a massive amount of content here. So he explores around a little bit. We can see that there was a shop earlier. I think we might have gone through Kasaba, check that out. And the other thing about it is a lot of these sort of systems will only generate like a certain one floor. But again, if we put like a stairs node within it, we're going to get different levels. So here we load a different flow graph. This one is a different procedural seed. And it builds up right again. So again, we can regenerate and regenerate and regenerate so many different sets of these interiors. All right, so that's the second piece of the puzzle. And the third piece of the puzzle, and one of the more exciting ones, you want to run the next video, is integrating it into our planet ecosystems. So the ecosystems, and what happens in this video is we're changing some of the properties just off screen of the ecosystem scattering. So it actually scatters all of these assets. So again, the cities plus the interiors within them, and it integrates them seamlessly into the Arccorp cities. So you can see there's Area 17 in the background. Kind of looks like LA with the smog. But we changed some of these different properties, and you can see the scattering happens over and over. So we're about to hit Hurston here. I'm going to go ahead and give it back over to Chris, but I really hope you guys enjoyed the tools, and really thank the team for working on that stuff.
Out, went to a space station, looked down at Arccorp, then quantum travel, flew through the space. We haven't done any loading. It's all in the same star system. And now we're in orbit, like high orbit actually, well, quite a ways out from Hurston, which is another planet inside the Stanton system. Arccorp is owned by Arccorp. In the Stanton system, the UE leased each one of the major Earth-type planets to different corporations. In this case, it's Hurston Dynamics, which primarily is a weapons manufacturer. And Hurston itself is the kind of, it's the sort of planet that is what happens when there is no regulation and there's no environmental protection. So it's probably going to be like China in 100 years or America after the EPA has been dismantled. So let's just head down, and this will be an example of a different style of planet and ecosystem biome. And we're still early days on this because obviously we're still getting 3.0 out views of the environment, and the sort of procedural planet team have been working on Arccorp and Hurston because they finished all their 3.0 stuff, and we're preparing for the next major release. All this stuff, but there's still a ways to go. So remember, all this is work in progress, and it'll be a lot better and cooler when you actually get your hands on it in the future. So we're just gonna do a short distance quantum travel. So we actually we have two kinds of quantum travel in 3.0 and beyond. One is a long distance one, like the one we went between Arccorp and Hurston, between major celestial bodies. And then we have short distance quantum travel that allows you to navigate around or circumnavigate large celestial bodies. So like here, we're just going to come much closer up to the kind of sort of low orbit gateway into Hurston. So I'll let Glenn take us down with his consummate flying skills. Yeah, so the German engine team that does all the procedural planet stuff has been adding obviously a lot of stuff to the procedural planet tech. The oceans have all been ported over to GPU, and ultimately we're not doing it here, but there actually has. If we get low enough, you'll probably see it's full wave simulation. When we get low enough, we want to have the thing where the wake from the ship creates waves. That's not in yet, but we will be doing that at some point. Yes. Well, as you know. But we're heading in our way to Lawville, which is the main landing zone on Hurston. So and as we sort of build this out in the future, there'll be a lot more sort of mining infrastructure. This is basically an area that Hurston sort of strip mined for all the minerals and creating its weapons and its sort of factories that we'll get to in a bit. But as we move forward, we've just sort of beginning of fleshing out sort of the secondary locations and objects. We're going to add things like, big, macro vehicles that would be excavating dirt and stuff, and give it a lot more variety, because Hurston's going to have quite a few more ecosystems than we're showing right here. But let's head up towards Hurston. You can actually see in the distance the big Hurston dynamic. It's sort of like the Tyrell building from Blade Runner. So that's the main area, and actually when you land in Hurston, that's where you're likely to land, and it has all these beautiful shops inside, and it's all nice, but the outside of it's all kind of smog and factories and polluted air. So let's fly up through. And again, Lawville's built using the same tech. It's a different kind of building set for a lot of it, but it's using the same sort of distribution tech that we do to sort of build out a city at a realistic scale for the ships that we have in the game, so, which is kind of important for our game, because we want to have everything feel real, visceral, tactile. And you can sort of appreciate just the sheer scale of these planets, because off in the distance Hurston didn't look very big, and now we're flying through it, and it's these are pretty tall, big buildings. Glenn likes to show off. So let's sort of head to the outskirts outside the city, because we want to sort of give you a sense of kind of what it's like in the ecosystems outside, and then also the sense of scale that you get, because when you're flying around, you're moving pretty fast. I mean, we're flying at a pretty fair clip relatively. I don't think they'd like you flying around say Frankfurt at this speed, just above it, but to give you the sense of being able to fly over a planet and then get down on the ground, it's all seamless, and also all the details. So we'll just go out here beyond the main city areas and find a landing spot.
Landing gear deployed.
Find one that's not rock. There you go. So here we are, we're down on the ground, and actually you can sort of see the large structures off in the distance, which maybe didn't look so big when we're flying over them, but really actually are quite massive. And this is kind of like the kind of tundra area outside Lorville. And let's go for a little run. And again, this is sort of what our goal is to try to kind of deliver the kind of, on foot, first person crisis level of detail for the environments that you're in, but, doing a lot of it procedurally and, on a planetary scale. So it's quite challenging, but I'm, very confident that we're going to deliver all that goal. And, the team we have doing it, who, a lot of them were here giving a talk earlier, are incredibly talented. And I'm pretty excited by the potential. I mean, we've got a lot to go in terms of building further ecosystems, also creating fauna for planets. So there's a sense of wildlife. Some could be hostile, some could be passive. But we essentially want to make these planets living places that feel visceral, that have their own identity. When you go to Arccorp or you go to Hurston, they feel totally different. They match with the sort of story and the history and the lore. And they feel tactile. They feel like a place that you could visit, a place that you could go and tell stories of, and take pictures of, or share with your friends. So someone's conveniently left us a knot. So you can use that to get a bit closer into the city.
Systems activating. Systems on.
You sort of can see the city stuff that seemed quite small as we flew over it. We're down on the ground and it's pretty huge. Oh, all right, let's see if... Oh! Glenn, you're just showing off now. See, it's just a show off, Glenn. I don't think it's that good of a show off. So here we're sort of coming to the outskirts of one of the factory areas of Lorville. Right. And again, we just have the beginnings of sort of our NPC population system. So some of the other stuff besides the interior procedural stuff is, longer term we're working on sort of a background crowd simulation system, a traffic simulation for ships coming and going in the background. The doc says it sounds a little physics bugs going on. Then we have foreground NPCs that would be like mission givers that have their own full schedules and stuff like that. But all the places will get populated and feel like they're full of life. So you'll have like I said, the whole goal is to have 90% NPCs to 10% players in the universe. And when you come to a place like Lawville or a place like Arccorp, it has to feel like, it has millions of people in it because these cities are that scale and that's sort of what we're used to. And so we're working very hard to build background systems to be able to do that, scale it, create them on demand, and create a realistic feeling location on whatever planet you're visiting. So as you can see, there's the Hurston Dynamics main building off in the distance. So it's again, that gives you a sense of like the scope and the scale of the city really is compared to what we're doing now. And as I said, one of the things we're working on is fauna. So these are the Oni, the Zyphopod Oni crabs. So they're little scavengers on Hurston, and there's quite a few other things that we're going to have on Hurston when we do it. But you'll have them running around and a bunch of other ones. But there you go. There's Lawville, there's Hurston. So that's the sort of preview of where we're going, and you can see the amount of attention to detail and the amount of love and hard work that's going in from the team to do that, because we really want to build out the universe of Star Citizen to the level that matches the vision of us and you guys, plus all the amazing concept art that everyone's done. So we,